All right, is that better? Can you hear anything with that? Can we hear anything there? Or do we just have buzzing? Can we hear anything? Or is that better? All right, we're just going to have to yell at the computer. All right, if anybody knows anything about repair of a roadcaster, that would be much appreciated. But thank you guys for joining us and putting up with my technological difficulties. But we are onward. Cool to see Nebraska able to kind of overcome. It was an ugly game. It wasn't anything very pretty. Um, Johnny says he often yells at his computer. Overcame some stuff, and they battled. They battled through it. The selfish part of me, and don't get me wrong, I'm super happy that they had a win. I apologize for my voice; it's losing myself a little bit, but came out with the win and unable to unable to just kind of put the hammer down, right? And just get after it. They had the chance. Like you're watching, like you're watching that game, and you're like, man, we should be up like 35-0, no problem. We're coasting through this thing. We're playing a lot of young guys, but they weren't able to do that, and it just kind of went back and forth. And Boston College is trying to win too, but decimated as we were by the portal and all those things. But it was cool to see, the seniors and the Ramir Johnson story is just a great one. It's very, very cool that he was able to be selfless in a time when he was, going through a lot of shit. And, to know that your team is important and you don't want to draw attention to yourself, and you try to get through and get everything done and do your work, but still be home and or be with your family and those kind of things. I mean, that's just a man. I mean, I've been a fan of his. I remember back when I was probably still on the radio and he was getting recruited, and he would ride the train to the school because it was a better school than he could have went to in his neighborhood, and they wanted him to play football there. And it was like an hour, I think, train and bus ride, both to and from school. But, just a special kind of human being, special kind of kid. So good to see him get the MVP. Good to see the receivers get some shine. Good to see just Nebraska play. If we get a first look at the defense, if that's the way the defense is going to operate, totally fine with that. There probably shouldn't be much change as we look through the season and transition from Tony White, who I was a huge fan of, but I understand the reasons for going. And then now into Thomas and how he's going to run the operation. So definitely an upward trend for Nebraska now. We've moved the bar. So I'm super excited about that, because I think for the longest time the bar was very low. We as fans had high expectations, but I don't know if those ever translated through for the team, for anybody else, for what was kind of happening there. So overall for the season, even though we had the lull that we have and the games that we pissed away that we should have won, they figured something out. And even with everything that came through the season, where the frustrations from me, I was back on the fence, actually back on the ledge, ready to jump, that I just didn't know. I just didn't know what I was going to do. Like, I was trying to find other teams to adopt that I could just cheer for in private, that I would be like, okay, I'm cheering for these guys now. I'm not telling anybody. But fun to see them win. Fun to see some emotion too. I always kind of wonder. What happens when. I think Raiola did a nice job his freshman year. But there was times to him or to me where I guess it seemed more like a job for him than it did like out having fun. So to see him going and doing his thing and celebrating, and then we probably need to have some sliding practice. We need to learn how to slide. We can get past the line of scrimmage and slide. Or if you want to get everybody hyped, you're a big kid. Your daddy's got a background hitting people and hurting people. And maybe, when you get safety up there and you're getting close to line of scrimmage, you just lower the shoulder and smoke somebody. I understand. Why not. We'll put sliding on the things to work with Walter's punt protection. Again, a standard easy rule for any of you coaches out there or people that just watch football. There's no need to have 3 numbers over 50 in the backfield for punt protection. There's none. It limits your coverage. Unfortunately for us, we had maybe one more that we could block. I think we've had enough to block it, but we just blocked the wrong guys. Shout out though to Mason Goldman, the pride of Gretna, that still just hustled on the play. Right, a lot of times you get a block punt, everybody kind of falls apart, nobody does anything, and then touchdowns happen. But Mace stayed in the game as he should. It's his job. Got over, made the tackle, prevented a touchdown. Now the touchdown happened later, but time bleeding off the clock at that time is good as well. I do. We've already got a lot of comments about special teams in the comment section, so we will hopefully be able to get those addressed in the offseason. I think everybody kind of knows where they want to go with that. As it says down here in the ticker, Aaron Taylor will join us here at 8:30. Hopefully, we've sent the message out to T, so we'll see what's going on with Aaron out at the Armadillo Ranch, where he will be. I'm sure excited for everything that happened in the game. Well, not everything, but he'll be glad they won. That's kind of the point where I'm at with everything. Like, let's just win. Like we can pull off wins. I don't care. I don't care how they go. I don't care what happens. I just want wins. 1 point, 30 points, 10 points. Big takeaway for me in that game. Hand raised after the blocked punt. I was in full panic mode. I was pacing. I was wearing a hole in the carpet at Paisans. I said, "Oh boy, here we go. Here it is. They have this thing within a touchdown to win the game." I said, "God help us all. God, please, just one time." But another thing I've preached about for a lot of the season is that 4-minute drill. When you get that 4-minute drill and you have a lead and you've got 4 minutes to go in the game, there's no need to give the ball back. There's not. And they did it. They pulled it off for the first time in a long time. It was great. It was Ron Burgundy all afternoon. I was caught in a glass box of emotions. I did not know what to do with myself most of the time, but they battled through it and they did. They pulled it off and they got everything handled. So I have nothing but good things just because it's a win. I don't think it's a defeatist attitude by any means. I think it was great that we were able to pull that off and accomplish that. Like I said, we just needed a win. Now, the thing that I'm going to be completely fine with, and this will sound weird to you, but I'm ready for Nebraska to lose something. I'm ready for Nebraska to lose. I'm good if we lose the offseason. I'm really good if we just lose the offseason. If we just put our heads down and work. Nose to the grindstone. I don't care who comes in. I don't care what ray of hope that they think has happened at some point in time. If I don't hear anything in the offseason about how Nebraska is doing X, Y, and Z, I will be perfectly content because I just want the work to get done. Do I think that is going to happen? Yes, I do. One of the biggest things I think that's happened to Nebraska, and we're going to have to take advantage of it, I believe, for the next 2 years, is Holgorsen. Okay, I don't care that he's viewed as an air raid guy, that he's viewed as a chuck it all over the field guy. I think he's just going to be a work guy. Like and there's going to be expectation, there's going to be accountability. But in that expectation and accountability, I don't think guys will go on the milk carton as we've all experienced over the past few years, and even past that, probably the past decade, we'll have somebody that gets going, and then all of a sudden they disappear, and we don't know what happened to them. We don't know who they pissed off. We don't know what assignment they missed. We don't know what's not fixed. So I'm excited to see how Nebraska football looks with the full offseason of Dana Holgorsen and what he's able to do. Coach Thomas, I think if he can maintain, just what the bar has been moved to for the defense, I think that's a great stepping stone. I think you're going to have guys that will come in and be able to contribute right away, and that they've been able to get in the portal. So those are the things. And if we lose and I don't hear anything about it, I'll be perfectly fine. I want to see it with my own eyes in the spring, because you can kind of tell how quickly they move in the spring, how efficiently things get done. Hopefully it's not a circus where it's a big screw around thing. I hope they take the spring game serious, to play a game, they get after it. And I know that's a long ways away, but those are my big takeaways from the game and the things that I think can happen in the offseason. Super happy for the old guys that were there. This is truly probably the first time in a long time we've had a stepping stone where we've ended the season on a positive note. We're able to go to a bowl game, win that bowl game. And that's, as 8, 9, 10-year-old me is just amazed. I never in my life, I'd go to games with my father and we would watch, and it was win. And if you lost, it was just the craziest thing. I was there when we lost to Florida State. You're welcome, Florida State, for helping us build your program, because we were one of the few that would play. So, but I was there for that game, and I was there for other, shocking losses, things that happened. But now it's time to build, and so if that's restructuring, continuing to grow the athleticism of the offensive line. I think it's a big thing. I think they have a lot of young guys that we'll be dependent on. There's going to be centers that are going to be needed. There's going to be guards that needed. Tackles, how Teddy comes off of injury, what position they put Corcoran at, which I know will send John into a tizzy. But all those things, if we can increase athleticism, I think you've got some guys that can do some things. And defensively, the Judy kid recovered a fumble. I'm a big fan of him and how he works. But now, you still have, and I know the portal, and we'll talk about the 105 and the portal and all that stuff. And then when T gets on at 8:30, we'll talk about, how his view of the game. But realistic expectation of things is where I'm at with stuff. I think now you're at 7. We get to 9, 10, and then we're good. That's just kind of the progression. 9 would be huge. A controlled 9 where we don't fall apart in games, I think is what I'm looking for. But it's all there for us to take. And I think another big thing with the two guys now that Rule has, not that he wasn't dependent on White, but he kind of had to babysit Satterfield a little bit. He now just becomes an overseer, in that role of just, I'm the CEO, trust my offensive guy, trust my defensive guy. We're going to have a team. We're going to have a staff meeting. Here's the schedule. Here's the expectation. Here's how we're going to get through this. You guys need to go execute. Okay. If I don't feel you're executing, then we're going to talk about it. We're going to go at it. So I'm going to head to the comments section here for a little bit while we're waiting for AT. Tim says, do Husker fans really think Rule was oblivious to special teams problem yesterday when he finally realized it? In my opinion, there's a reason he hasn't said a word about it and Foley hasn't seen a microphone in forever. He's just going to handle it much better than our fans. It's probably true. Probably going to be how that rotates out for us. Don't know which way you go. If you can have unlimited staff, so you can always have a special teams guy, and maybe he's got somebody in mind. It seemed as quickly as he brought in, his advisors, I guess I would say, which is Holgorsen and Phil. Then you obviously have people. So taking advantage of those people, putting them in the best situation, then making sure, the one that gets me all the time, it's one of my favorite pictures. There's a picture of a punt in the Orange Bowl against Miami. I believe it's Miami. And the right side of the formation is Tomich, Wistrom, Federal, and Erstad's punter. And so it's okay if starters play. if they're your best athlete and they're your best player, put them out there. If you're worried about the conditioning, then that's something you got to handle now. When conditioning starts and you get after it and you get in there and you do your thing. Talent acquisition. Nebraska, now that their bowl game is over, they still have 5 more days. So the rule that I found out that I didn't know, but after your bowl game ends, you have 5 days, so they can still be active in the portal and acquiring guys and making sure that they increase their roster. That's one thing that I'm looking forward to, is how they do that. If you think you have the best roster in the world, will be like a lot along the lines of a previous staff that was here that brought all 11 members, and then all 11 members didn't really work out. So there's always a chance to get better. And right now it's nothing personal. It's just business. So if you're in the portal and they're looking at your position, take that as a shot across the bow. Take it personally. But get out there and get your work in and make sure that they know you're the best at that position, and then make that other person beat you out. So see Nebraska still be active. I think they've done a nice job. Good buddy Paul says, what are your thoughts on the portal receivers coming in? I think now, you're going to have a clearer vision of what that offense is going to know, because you have Holgerson, and then he's got his guy now at the receiver position coaching them. So the talent is there. They have the measurables and the things that you want to see. How does that translate? How does that translate onto the field? Like, how do we know that? How will we see that? We won't. And I hope they don't tell us. I honestly do. I hope they don't say anything in the offseason. Say, hey, we had a good practice today. That's it. Leave it at that. Because I think we get too much information at times. I think we get too much where we get wound up, and then when it doesn't match what we see, we got good eyes. We've seen football. We know what it should look like. You want to release some practice film? Cool. I'll watch it. Then I can form my own opinion. It's much like the media on anything now. I just want to see it with my own eyes. I'll make my own decision. I'm a grown-ass man. Giddy. So you can do it that way. By the way, shout out to my sister Megan Butenbach. It's her birthday today. She is, however many years old, 1976 minus today. So that would put her at 48, I believe. So she's old as shit. Mike says we play with aggression and a level of chippiness. We also showed that we were able to control the game. We had some adversity in the fourth quarter. We were able to rev the motor back up. They showed a lot of growth. I agree. That was, like I said, scared to death. Scared to death when they blocked the punt. It was like a legitimate, like, I didn't fear anything. I don't fear much in my life. But I was like, oh shit, here we go. It's over. We're gonna fold up shop. But we didn't. Love to see when Raiola slid the first time and got hit pretty good. He didn't like it, number one, but then you saw everybody else coming in. And there was nobody there on their own. Nobody there fighting their own battle. Everybody got hit. Everybody was involved in the fight. So that was cool. Like, I like that. And you have some unity and some bonding with your team when you get in there together and you're both kind of fighting, and it was good to see. It was good to see, the boys just get after it, and playing in the mud's always fun. It was a terrible day for my guy Jay Terry because he's got to get all that shit clean, but it was an amazing to see him just fight. I've questioned it for a long time. I don't know. You watch the game sometimes, like, hey, how really tough are we? If we get into it, are we going to get into it? Is there going to be other people there? We're going to go. And they did. And maybe, they wanted to bully Boston College around. Teapot Billy freaked out on the refs a couple of times, which was always fun to see, but it was good. It was just a good day in the end. Walter asked any word on the portal OT from Wazoo yet. Haven't heard much yet. Still, in the mix. I mean, unless anything has happened, then that's really all you can do right now. You're putting your best offer forward and saying, hey, this is what we got. This is what we can do for you. Let me know if it works for you. And I think with some of the things that Nebraska has to offer, you're probably not in the top echelon of things, but you're definitely on the come up. I do believe, and we can talk about the 105. The 105 is going to really change the landscape of how college football operates. if it were me and I was in charge, I would handle it in this manner. I would give my 105, but then I would have a practice squad. Okay. The reason I would have a practice squad and the argument I would make, and it's not going to be a popular argument, but this is my argument. Okay. A lot of women's teams right now currently have sets of males that go practice against them. Okay. Dawn Staley does it at South Carolina. She calls them the highlighters. They practice against their team every day. So she's got a practice squad that's outside of their team. Okay. So for me, I can really stir up some shit because I can say, hey, we're going to have a practice squad. Well, you can't do that. Okay, great. Then you need to go tell all the volleyball programs that have dudes come in and practice against them. And all the basketball teams, the women's basketball teams that have dudes come in and practice against them, that they're going to have to stop too. Because we'll use Title IX our way. If they can do it, why can't we do it? So that's how I would navigate to keep my roster fat and keep my development upcoming. It was going to be a hell of a sell job. Like you're gonna really have to sell some kids. Like, hey, you're doing nothing but practicing, but this is your job. Okay, we're gonna get you film. We're gonna get you all this stuff to go through, and you're gonna have to just be the other team. That's your job. We'll pay you for it. You're practice this way. You're gonna eat with us. You're gonna be part of us. And we'll take you to the bowl game when we go. But you can sell those things that way. So that's how I would attack that. Probably not super popular, and John Cook, don't get pissed off at me if they take your practice teams away, but what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So that's how I would navigate it. The 105 is going to be interesting. It's going to change how colleges recruit. There was a college defensive coordinator in last week, had some dinner, and we were talking, and I said, hey, you got to view NAIA as junior college now. Like you have to look at those as viable options. And he said 100%. He said we will watch every NAIA game that's out there because those kids are playing. It's a higher level in high school, so it's better for our evaluation. So we can really see somebody that pops out. And then also now the ruling with the junior college doesn't count, which I kind of see them overturning that just because it is what it is. But the way that the rules read is that you are not enrolled in an NCAA level competition. So junior college, go there, it doesn't count. NAIA doesn't count either because it's not NCAA. You can get an NAIA kid that's been a stud for a couple years down there. You can bring him up. He starts fresh. He's got 4 to go for you. So creative ways to get after it and maybe off the radar find some guys that fell through the cracks. The Scattaboo kid out of Arizona State was an NAIA player. Oh, sorry, he was Division III. Sorry, or 2. But the cat last year from Missouri that led the country in rushing was an NAIA kid. They fall through the cracks. It happens. That's the way it goes. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see any and everywhere. Now, it sucks for high school kids. My little nephew is going through it right now. He was a prick at Christmas, but I get it. He's frustrated. He had a great year. He thinks he should be somewhere. And unfortunately, that's not the way it's gone with recruiting now. It's just a different setup. So the ever evolving landscape of college football will really change in the next few years. Get used to seeing, 24, 25-year-old seniors because they have that ability. And, honestly, if you're that old and you go to college and you're making good money, I can't fault you. I would take advantage of it in a millisecond. I would do it 100% of the time. Matt says, just curious, obviously everyone can always get stronger in the offseason, but what does Riolo need to work on in the offseason? Does he need racquetball, Stairmaster, what it takes to get him to the next level? Great for off season for him. I would say that they're probably going to address quickness for him, both lateral and front to back. I do think, he can hit the jets and take off and get some, when he became a running threat in that game, Boston College didn't know what to do because the game plan was he's not going to run. you could see how they play defense. He could have kept it 7, 8, 9 times early in the game and made good yards because they're like, well, he's not going to carry it. Part of that is because they probably didn't know who they were going to have as backup. Uh, just it is what it is. He knows he can't get hurt. So taking the shots or putting your shoulder down or all those kind of things, you just can't take that chance. I get it. But I also like the mindset of if I'm going to round that corner, I'm going to hit somebody, I'm going to be the deliverer. Like I'm not going to take a hit, I'm going to give a hit. And he's big enough. He knows what to do. So it'll be interesting to see his evolution as we move forward. That foot speed and quickness, he's pretty in the pocket. Like he can evade things in the pocket. Most of the time, I think he's had better days in the pocket than he had in the bowl game. But if he can, just get that little burst right out of the gate where he hits the turbo and it's 5, 6 yards and then the slide, I think everything will be just fine. But yeah, definitely things that he needs to address. The type of ball that gets thrown. Now this is coming from a lineman, but we're really, really good at the touch pass. Like we're really good at getting over a defender and in front of the next defender. Like they're pretty. It's pro level when he does it. The ones as he evolves as a quarterback are the rockets. Like the ones you got to grease in somewhere and it gets in a tight window and he zings it. But one thing that will help with that is the continued evolution of Emmett. And he's a runner. I mean, he's RB1. There's not a lot more in the room. So great. Looking forward to seeing how he progresses through the year. Joe says, good point on the 105. So let's say a specific position gets hit with injuries. Will they allow NFL type scenarios where you can put someone on the injured reserve and go outside the 105? This helps justify your practice squad suggestion. From what I understand right now, you cannot go outside the 105. You can't bring somebody up. So you're 105 or you're 105. My practice squad guys are just that. They're that for efficiency of practice. They are a scout team, period. That's it. That's all they do. There's no chance for them to come up until the spring or the winter when they would go through conditioning. And then if they've had a great year on a full-blown like practice squad scout team, then they could come up. And then they could become part of the team. But then that would take away one from your 105. So, if you got young coaches that you want to get in the mix because you can have as many coaches as you need, now I can develop coaches. So when my coach leaves, then I can slide a new coach in. I can still look. I can still try to go out and try to find the best option. But if I got a guy that's got these guys that we just basically pulled off the street, he's got them to a point where they're whooping on our first team guys, and he's coaching them up every day. Now I know I've got a dude, and I got to just keep him. So it's both to develop players and develop coaches. So it was just a unique way I thought to think of it, especially if it does work. Walter will if it does come to fruition, Walter will be there to help Coach Foley pack. So Walter says in 25 games with special ed being Nebraska special teams coach, Nebraska had a grand total of 131 punt yards returned. Yeah, something's got to get better. Something's got to get better. Laura says, do you know how they came up with the number 105? I have no clue. Honestly, probably just threw some shit at the wall with the groups and saw what stuck. It's probably got something to do with depth. What I did with it, and when I'm a numbers guy, I like numbers. So I took the NFL breakdowns of payment by position. Okay. And I believe the $20 million that they have has to go to the whole athletic department. I just kind of honed it down because I can change the number on the spreadsheet I built to whatever they feel they want to attribute to football. And I think that's how they can manage it. They can say, well, we're going to give this much to football, this much to basketball, volleyball, track, and on down the line. Okay. So I took that, and then by position, I broke it down. So we'll just say for easy numbers, somebody's got a $200 million payroll in the NFL. They spent like the good teams. Like I picked all the playoff teams because I think their rosters are managed pretty well. And then I just said, okay, these guys spend 10% on quarterback, 20% on offensive line, 30% on defensive line, blah, 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 blah. So Now, to me, I can understand, or I can justify, or I think I make the argument easier that if you want to, hey, your discussions then with your kids become better. Okay, you're an offensive lineman. We've got the athletic department of this 20 million has allotted us 10. We'll say 10. Okay. And our breakdown of this to make sure that we can balance a roster, because we have to look at this now as an adult. We can't just look at this as you getting yours. We have to look at it as we getting ours. So from our allotment, we can pay you this, boom, boom, boom. If you're a starter, you get this. If you're a backup, you get this. If you're a third team, you get this. If we're able to get to a third team, and then now we can extrapolate out and we can go to see what other kind of endorsements we can get you. We feel we can market you this way. So that coming in-house really has to work hand in hand together. And I think they all need to be in on the discussions of it, because it's not going to go anywhere. So I said for a long time, Nebraska was always on the cutting edge of things. We had nutrition before anybody else. We had a weight room, it's kind of jacked up before everybody else. We had the academic counseling that was ahead of everybody else. This is a chance for us to get ahead of everybody else in this thing, and how we structure it, how we do it. And honestly, I still have a discussion, a needs-based discussion, because a lot of times it's not the kid. It's not the kid that wants to go out and be a baller. It's mom and dad that come from a different lifestyle. They struggle to make ends meet. They see it as a payday. Needs assessment for mom and dad. We're going to get a needs assessment from mom and dad. Mom and dad are still going to work. They're still going to do everything. Here's how we're going to get this to you. Here's how we're going to make it work. Okay. You're going to kick this to mom and dad. The rest of this is yours. We can help you provide for your future. Or if you want to spend it right now, you spend it right now. It's we want to be grown ass men. There's your grown ass man decision. You want to live like a king in college, or you want to live like a king when you're like 30, 40 years old? Do you want to be way ahead of everybody else when you get out into the workforce? Belichick has spoken on this. His goal is, yes, we're going to win. We're also going to put guys out with the realization that, yeah, you might make the NFL. Careers there aren't very long, so we're going to have you prepared for life. So if we can take this money and we can get you set up for quite a while, things are going to be good. Things are going to work out a lot better for you. Then it goes. So we got a thumbs up from Aaron Taylor on a text. I don't know what that means. So hopefully he joins up here pretty quick. But getting ahead of stuff and being proactive, it's just where Nebraska has to get to. And I mean, Christ on a crutch, they got 70 people that work out there. So let's reassess roles. Let's make sure the money we're paying those people, like, we're getting a value out of that. Like, that's the audit. If I'm the AD, I audit the department. What do you do? And then when I find the overlap of 70, I give them an opportunity. I say, hey, you two do the same job. Okay, we're paying you both to do the same job. It's a one-person job. We don't need both of you. Here's an option we have for you. Do you want to take this option? And if they say no, they're like, okay, you're gone. See you later. Right? And then we just go from there. But you got to streamline things. 70 people is 140 eyes, 140 years. If you don't think people listen and talk, you're wrong. It's just the truth. It's why I've loved my experiences at every level of competition I've ever been at. They were tight groups, and you only talk to yourselves. What happened in-house stayed in-house. You did not speak outside of the building. And it was great. And I still try to do it to this day in any and everything I do. You can ask any lineman I've ever coached. Simple phrase, fuck them all but us. We go as they go. They need us much more than we need them. Fact. But that's why I love it. So if Nebraska can kind of streamline and get more efficient with how they roll, I'm in. I'm 100% in. 70 people. I get it, it's a big outfit, but come on, man. 70 people? It's a lot. A lot of payroll. I just had to turn in our payroll for our 22, and I about shit myself. But get that baby down lean and mean, and watch how much more efficient you become. I'm not saying you got to work people to the bone, but you can make that thing better. And And kids watch. If they've got people in the office or in the buildings that aren't doing a whole bunch of nothing, yeah, evidently it's acceptable. Because what's acceptable for the team is what's acceptable for staff. You can all live it. That's why I don't drink at work. I very rarely on a birthday I'll have a shot with somebody. But if I'm in there getting boozed up, then right, wrong, or indifferent, I've got people that think they can go in and get boozed up. Ain't happening. So if I don't do it and my name's on the bill, why are you doing it? Well, what gives you that right to do that? I don't give a shit. You paid for it. You ain't drinking in my place. So just a couple things, just some housekeeping. I do feel very positive about. We're gonna message Taylor. Must have something go down at the ranch. That's a good one. Mike got a good one. Pull your finger out of a bucket of water and see how fast the hole fills. Yeah, exactly. But overall, though, for the middle phase of the season when everything was kind of going to shit, to see him rebound and come back, and you had some time off, you reevaluate, lost a lot of guys, and that's okay. It's going to happen. We need to just get used to that. I said in the past, don't get attached to players. Don't get attached to anybody, because they're going to make business decisions, and it's dirty. Like it's a dirty business. The messages that kids get from coaches and recruiting staffs and all those things that are illegal as the day is long, it's the rumors you hear are true. They hey, we see you're this, that, the other. We can get you X $100,000, and you're going to start out number 2 in spring, and if you beat out the 1, you'll be the starter. Well, it's hard when you throw a number up there that makes sense. 100 G's, 100 G's, no matter how you slice it up. Well, enough of me rambling. Kind of got through everything I wanted to get through. Yep, Matt's got it right. So basically, self-scout the entire program, follow the money. Couldn't agree more. But the pride of Wichita Falls, the son of Wayne and Dee. He's a husband. He's a daddy. He's a 3-time national champion. He is an Outland Trophy winner. He's my good buddy, Aaron Taylor. T-Bone, how we doing?
What's up, Verzal?
How are you, buddy?
Oh, man, I'm good. How about you?
Good. Did you have a good Christmas?
We did. It's been busy, though. It's been busy. You know how it goes. It's, run here, run there, little sleep, a lot of money, return on investment sucks. Yeah, that whole thing.
You got a basketball player now, too. You're watching hoops.
What's that?
I said you got a basketball player now, too.
Verzal, you would have told me 3 months ago I'd be sitting in a high school gym watching junior varsity and varsity girls basketball. I would have told you you're nuts, absolutely nuts. But here we are.
Terry Verzal's proud of you. He's waiting for you to coach.
Man, I tell you what. I'm gonna say something that I truly mean, man. High school coaches are awesome. Are awesome. And my daughter's going to Conestoga, little Emma, and she wanted to. And here's one of the things I love about her, man. She decided she wanted to play basketball, and she's never played basketball in her life. And going to a small school, she had that opportunity, and here she is. She's on the team. And I told the coaches, I said, hey, man, I said, here's the deal. I said, she's never played basketball. We've shot hoops out in the driveway, and that's it. She doesn't know any position. She doesn't go up and down the court. I can't get her off of TikTok or YouTube to sit down and watch a ball game with me, like every other high schooler, and or Snapchat, whatever it is. And I said, I don't know what you're going to get. I said, but I can tell you one thing. I said, if she commits to you, if she wants to play and she commits, she's going to be on the team, or she's going to be on the team for a year. She's not going to be able to quit. She's going to work hard for you, and we'll just see where this goes." And he looked at me and said, "It's no big deal." He said, "I had 2 international foreign exchange students last year that I had to teach from the ground up." And so, anyhow, a long story short, the coaches are so patient and kind and good to these kids, and it is something that they're giving them an opportunity to go do. That just it makes me happy. It makes me happy seeing the kids get out there, compete, get better every single game. And my daughter's part of that process, and yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
It is. It's very cool, and it's good to see proud Papa T-Bone with watching that basketball.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's the same. It's the same reason why you got into coaching, right? You just see it's a pain for you. It's a pain. It was a pain for you to deal with it with your business and with Paisans, and but man, just the development that you see in the kids and the uh I don't know, man. It's just
Team
the
sports are awesome.
relationships you get. Yeah, it's exactly what Coach Rule said about Ramir yesterday.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
so
this is why you get into coaching. This is why you stay into coaching, because of this type of stuff. And so, yeah, man, I'm excited about it.
it's like AT playing
So,
the wing on the Air Force Base on the soccer pitch.
hey, I might have some soccer. I do. I got some soccer balls up here from back in the day.
Yeah, baby.
Hey,
Little known
don't
fact.
knock my soccer, baby.
Little
Don't
known
knock
fact.
my soccer.
2 of Nebraska's greatest linemen, both soccer players. Aaron Taylor and Ndamukong Suh.
Hey, there's something to it.
Buddy, it's
There
footwork.
really is something to it.
Footwork.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I was great by any means that or would have been good, as I got older, high school and beyond. But man, I tell you what, it's developmental. Verse. You teach linemen footwork. Be
Yep.
light on your feet.
All
Know
day.
when to plant. Be strong.
Change
Hey,
direction quickly. Look like an athlete.
13 All-State punter.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah,
What was your
Texas.
average?
40.8.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
That ain't bad. High school.
That ain't bad at all,
No.
especially since you were playing offensive line. You had to
Hey,
waddle
what's
back there.
crazy is our deep snapper, our long snapper was our wide receiver, Mark Jackson, and he weighed about 170 pounds. And then he was snapping to a 290-pound lineman.
Hey,
Yeah, man,
well,
high school.
right
High
now,
school.
my guy Walter here in the comments will take you on any form of special team. So if you have any eligibility left, he'll sign you up. He is very
Oh,
anti-Nebraska special team.
I tell you what, they got some work to do, don't they?
They got a little bit to do. T-Bone, what were your big takeaways from the game? Like, it was muddy, it was ugly. I thought it would look like a ton of fun. But what did you take away from the game?
Um, Man, you really want to. So my first initial takeaway, and I turned to Tanya and I said this as the game wound down. I said, "Man, it was nice to see the boys have some fight."
Yeah.
It was a little chippy at times, and I don't think there was some hatred or some disdain like some of the other games that we watched the previous few days. But man, it was nice. It was nice to see. Hey, I didn't think the Dylan Raiola slide should have been called a
Right.
penalty. I think that's tough on defensive players, right? But it was nice to see him get up, get a little chippy. It was nice to see the other guys get a little chippy. And I was like, hey, grab somebody, give them an uppercut, right? Let's go. Let's go. Let's have some fun. So I like the chippiness. As far as in game play. Uh it, I other takeaways. I wish we would put up a few more points. I wish the offense would have looked a little more smooth. But then again, I sit there. First, I have all these things going through my head right now whenever I watch all these games, all of them. And it's not just ours. It's how in the hell did the coaches put all this together?
Yeah.
Whenever you're trying to recruit your roster, you're trying to recruit the portal, you're trying to get your high school players signed. Um, there's just so many things that were going through my head, and I was really impressed on how good we looked. but within that whole scope, right? I sit there and I want to be critical and I want to say, okay, we didn't do this, we didn't do that, but dang, man, you're trying to keep your team together and go to a bowl game and look somewhat decent. And I thought they did. I thought the line played overall pretty darn good. I thought uh our receivers caught the ball well and the conditions, and I thought Dylan looked good, and I thought the running backs, I think Emmett going into next year, I think that's um a big deal for us. Uh I think right along the lines of the commentators on the game, whenever they said, "Hey, going into next year, these guys should be looking into the top 25," and especially with our portal additions that we have so far, um, I thought we looked good. I thought we looked good. I was happy. I was really happy. And this kind of the first time I first time in quite a while that I said, "Man, I'm happy with the way we played all the way around."
I was super nervous how the defense would react with White, going and then Thomas taking over and how that transition was going to be. That was pretty smooth. Like, it was pretty smooth.
I thought I don't know, man. I don't want to say it looked better, but
Looked good.
it looked good. It looked good. It looked real good. I'm like, oh, okay. I like this. I like this. So yeah, I'm with you. I was concerned about the Tony White deal, and pork chop leaving and all of that kind of stuff, but I thought they looked good. I I think too, if we kind of peel it back just a little bit, um, you've got the unlimited coaches now.
Mhm.
So I think that him leaving, and you still had some consistency behind the scenes with the other, defensive consultants, those kind of things. Those guys have been there, right? And so it's not like the players, the kids, the young men that they had, somebody completely new they had to deal with. Um, Remember when Bo Pelini left? What? No, it wasn't Bo Pelini. When did Scott come and kind of help out Bo? Um, Boy, you remember when he kind of had to ragtag, Bo Pelini had to ragtag a staff, and Frost came in and helped. Ooh,
Would that have
I,
been
I
when he was coming in to take over for?
I can't remember exactly what it was, but man, they had like ragtag coaching staff all put together, and with White leaving here, you've got all those consultants and advisors, whatever they want to term them, behind the scenes, and so I thought it was pretty smooth. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. Well, whenever we had Cooper leave, and I remember talking to
Yep.
you, and I said, "Hey, man, what do you think about this new coach coming in for Cooper on the secondary?" And you said, "Well, I think Rule just hired his next defensive assistant, right? Knowing that Tony White would eventually move on at some point." And I think you're right. I'm excited to see where that goes because for me in the Big Ten, I'm I like his style of defense, that 4-3, right?
Yeah.
I just think you got to be a 4-3 base defense. Um,
Or if you're gonna have it the other way, you got to have like your safeties are basically just linebackers in the 3-3 setup. But if they're not, and they're not good at angles going down in the box to tackle and that stuff, then you see where it can be kind of exposed. But yeah, I'm a 4-3 guy. I Twig, when we were in Malcolm, he simplified the 4-3 down to anything. Whatever formation you came out in, we were blitzing, and it was a blast. And the boys had an awesome time at it. But it's very fluid, and it can move back and forth easily, and it can look like a bunch of different things when you do it right. So I'm a fan of it as well.
yeah, exactly. When you do it right, and then that's the way I was, right? I mean, that's the way I feel. It was the same way, and I'm going to say this a million times over, and we never see it, and I wish we would, and I don't know why we don't, because it was, as an offensive lineman, it was the toughest block to ever make. I still don't know why. And you talk about taking that 4-3 and maneuvering it and making it different looks, right? Um, what about whenever you take that middle linebacker, right, and you move him down in that bubble position, right? I'm gonna talk about this and talk about this and talk about this, but we don't see it. Tell me
No,
I'm wrong.
you're not wrong. You're not. You're not wrong.
When Charlie McBride and those coaches came up with that formation of the 4-3 and moved that middle linebacker into over the 3 technique of the guard, and it was on the strong side of the offensive formation, but where they positioned him just back far enough off of the line of scrimmage, it made for a tough reach for the offensive guard. Even if you're going to run to the short side and you say you scoop that nose tackle and you had to get that bubble linebacker, it made it tough for the center. That linebacker was great over the top. He could come underneath. It was such a tough defense. And so when you talked about the different formations that Twig had, right, and simplifying it, and you can get up in a 4-3. Here's your standard defense, and all of a sudden, boom, you can switch, and it looks something totally different. And in the offensive line, you're like, damn, don't do that.
So right? For those that don't know what bubble is, so if you just put your 4 defensive line, you put them wherever you want. Okay, then your middle linebacker of the 3 is going to walk up about 2 yards from the line of scrimmage. Jay Foreman tells the greatest story about bubble ever when he was talking to Buffalo. And he's going in and they're doing film, and the coach of Buffalo is like, well, damn, motherfucker, you're a 3 technique. He's like, they got you playing 2 yards from the ball. He's like, I don't know how to evaluate you. He goes, are you a linebacker? Are you a 3 technique? He's like, what are you? Are you a defensive lineman? It's hilarious. You know how Foreman tells stories, but what you're doing in that is you're just trying to create confusion in the offensive line. And Aaron is nailing the point that Coach McBride was able to accomplish. We're set up for you to be at 5 yards. Okay, our schemes and everything we want to do, you're supposed to be back at 5 yards. When you creep up to 2 yards, now our advantage, which is intellect and knowledge of angles and short area quickness, is gone because you are faster than us and you are now closer to us, and we don't want you closer to us.
But I don't like it.
Keep your distance, please, sir. You're supposed to be at 5 yards, back up. But that's what T's talking about. It is a great thing. You see a lot of guys, though, they're up kind of mad dogging the A gap. They'll fake blitz in those A gaps, but they never play it there. They're either coming or they're backing out. So having that guy stay right there. Now, where it was detrimental is if we had the play called in to where your bubble was and your center was good, like you were, and you could get 2 steps in, you got the nose handled. Now that guard has a linebacker 2 yards away, and he's like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to lay hands on you, and it's going to go right through this gap here. So there's a risk reward to it. But, yeah, I agree. I mean, the more confusion, the more chaos you can create with offensive linemen trying to figure out scheme, the better. So I love it. I love creativity. I love switching things up. And a lot of times what's old becomes new again. So it's something to definitely look at.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, and I always said this too. I always said this, and people always kind of looked at me like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Whenever they talked about Chip Kelly, the old becoming new again, right? So remember when Chip Kelly's offense was, and it really is run base, right? Mm-hmm. It's fast, it's quick, and it's get up to the line of scrimmage. I always said his version was just a modified version of Coach Osborne's.
Yep.
Always said that. And when do we
want
to
stop the time on the play clock that you're supposed to have the play run by? Do you remember?
12 seconds. You got to have the play. You wanted to snap the ball by 12 seconds on the play clock. Think about that. That's crazy, right?
No.
And we huddled. And I always said Chip Kelly did the same thing, but he just didn't huddle. That was just a new version, right? Old becomes new again. And but that was with us, you huddled up facing the line of scrimmage. You huddled up 3 yards from the line of scrimmage, got your play called, and you were up there. You made your quick audible, and off you went. And boom, 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 boom. Just very systematic. And whenever you said old becomes new again, I always used to say that, man. Chip Kelly's version was just a modified version of Coach Osborne, and he was way ahead of his time.
Tito doesn't get credit.
That's how you ran 85 plays a game.
Yep.
Right?
And 105 plays in practice. Oh, maybe that's how they came up with 105 people. But
hey, Emma comes over. Emma comes home from practice. She's like, Dad, I hated practice. We had to run. we had to run all these drills and now, mind you, this is the first time she's done this basketball. She's played
Right.
volleyball, right? But I'm like, honey, sweetie, don't start with me, right? Back in the day, right? So then now I get to do the whole back in the day thing. But yeah, the 105 plays in practice. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. We were trying to figure out how they came up with 105 players for a roster. I was like, shit, maybe they just took that from TO2 because they took the RPO from him as well. 39 dive pass. 39 sprint option pass. Like, here's the fake.
Yeah.
We're going to throw it down the field. Run, pass option.
Yep.
But it was – TO was ahead of a lot of stuff and does get –
the RPO, right? RPO, but perfect. Yeah. So, let's go to the 97 Missouri game. And it was crazy. We had, a minute and a half to go down the field to tie the ball game, right? We need to get to overtime, and it's crazy. And you've got a bunch of 21-year-olds in the huddle, and you got testosterone flowing, and Coach Osborne just looks at everybody. He's on the sidelines, and he's like, all right, fellas, what we're going to do here is we're going to run. He kind of looks up, and he's like, we're going to run 32, 38 option pass. And Scott, I want you to make a good throw, and receivers, I want you to catch the ball. And he's talking this fast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I want you to get out of bounds, and looks up at the scoreboard and goes, we'll be fine. Let's go. You're sitting there, right? And what he did is he took everybody's, adrenaline just pumping through their body and brought us down a little bit, just so we could get out there and execute. But it was that RPO, 32, 38 option pass, right? Same with the 31, 39.
Mass chaos going on around you, hostile environment. I was like, okay, here's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Let's go. We'll be fine.
You catch it. We'll be fine.
We'll be fine.
Shevin, you kick it. And then Matt, you catch it. You should be good.
Yep. Crazy, man.
So I said earlier, and you know me pretty good, I like winning. I'm a big fan of it. I think through preparation, practice, and repetition, you can win anything. I'm ready to lose something, Aaron. I'm ready to lose the offseason. I don't care if I hear a peep out of Nebraska on who's going to be good, who's going to be bad. If they just suffer in silence and work, I'll be perfectly content. If Matt Rule comes to pressers and says, I'm just here so I don't get fined, I'll be good with it, because I don't want the hype machine to get built up where everybody starts booking tickets to the 12-team playoff. If we just have an off season of work, I'm perfectly good with that.
I bought into the hype machine. I bought into it. I bought into it. But I felt good about it, right? I felt good about it. And I even texted you the first game. I'm like, dang, man, Raiola looks good, right? And he does. And he does. But we knew he was going to have some freshman issues, and he did. He had some freshman pains, and he grew, I think. And I guess the only thing is that right now, Vers, if I want to hear anything off season, I'm kind of like you, right? I'm more tired of college football right now because of college football, not because of Nebraska, and so I kind of need to decompress off of that stuff. I'm with you there. But if I do hear anything, I want to hear that we got a tackle in the portal. Yeah. We got a center in the portal. I'd like to hear 2 or 3 linemen out of the portal. That's the way it is nowadays, man. And let's go. And I'm happy with our kids. I'm really happy with our kids. But man, you talk about man. I hope he has some sledge nastiness. I bet he does.
Oh, yeah.
I bet he does. College football's crazy. College football's crazy.
What pisses you off the most about it right now?
Probably two things. Number one, the amount of money. The amount of money really gets after me. It really does. We're throwing money at kids right now it's life-changing money, right? I mean, it's life-changing. It's not to go, huh?
If the money is managed, but yes.
Right, right. It's life-changing money for select kids, right?
Yeah.
That come into the program. So right now, I kind of envision it. This is kind of what I do. I'm like, okay, I'm sitting in the locker room. I'm a developing offensive lineman who go on and I have a great career,
Yeah.
right? But I got some Yahoo from Arizona that's over here making, you know, $750,000 more than me because I'm a developing offensive lineman, right? And uh, I'm not so sure that I like that, right? I mean, you take an AR, right? The receiver that we get, and here he is. We bring him in with some NIL money, and then he doesn't want to play, and he dropped some passes. We could have won some. We could probably had two more wins if he would have caught some passes, right? I'm going to look at him and going, "What the hell are you doing? You're making all this damn money, and I'm not, and you're the one losing us the ball game. Come on now, right?"
Mhm.
Kind of like I said to Chris Brown, right? Whenever we were in Washington, we go down, we drive down the field in '97. We drive down the field and we get out there and we kick a field goal and he misses. I'm like, we don't drive all the way down the damn field for you to come out here and miss some kicks, right? We don't do that. And but I don't know, man. You got all these different structures, and so now what you are is you're an NFL locker room, right? You're an NFL locker room. I knew I was when I was there for a little cup of coffee, and all these other guys were making money. I knew where I stood in that pecking order, right? Well, now um, in college, that pecking order changes every single year. It doesn't change like the NFL every 2 to 3 years, right? Where you have to write out those contracts. Now it changes every single year. So that's kind of the thing. That's the biggest thing that chaps my rear is I think this whole NIL thing went from having a stipend
Yeah.
for I don't know, 2,000 a month, 1,500 a month to now we're paying kids a lot of stinking money.
Yeah.
And it's changing not just the kids in the locker room, it's changing the whole landscape of college campuses, right? I mean, it's crazy to me.
It'll be interesting to see because NFL locker rooms, like our buddies that have gone and had NFL careers, they'll tell you NFL locker rooms are different. Like one of the things that I loved and I miss, and I'm trying to. We may start having cards nights at Paisans. I got a room next door. We sit down, play some spades and hearts. Like I miss the camaraderie of it, and I think when you bring money into the mix, how that cohesion happens, right? Because we were
It's
all
cohesion.
the same.
We're doing this right now. We're right now together. You've been my best friend for 30 years,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Because you were able to walk on.
Yep. Yeah.
That's
True.
that's not happening.
True. Well,
Not
I
happening.
think
Because
that's
you had
not.
a dream. You had
Yeah.
a dream that you wanted to come and you wanted to play and you were given an opportunity.
Yep.
And you were able to get a degree. You were able to be a productive citizen out in society.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not saying you were
Debatable.
great. You're great by any means,
Debatable.
um, but you were able to go get a degree. You were able to be a productive citizen in society. I mean, you were able to develop relationships. There's so many positives out of walk-on programs, and I'm not just talking Nebraska.
Yeah.
Stetson Bennett wouldn't have been Stetson Bennett,
Right.
right, in today's time. And that's just a few years ago. He just won national championships 2 years ago.
Yep.
Stetson Bennett's not going to be able to play anymore,
Mhm.
right? And so you have all these kids all across the nation. It's not just Nebraska, man. That go and they they were either injured or a lot of these kids too just don't develop until later in their career.
Yeah.
And so I said two things, right, that bother me. One is the money, the amount of money being thrown out there. It's no longer just the $1,500. Hey, we just wanted money to go get a pitcher of beer,
Right.
um, and go eat.
Right.
Um, so that's number one. The second thing that really bothers me is um, we've got a lot of coaches. We've got a lot of good coaches, and I touched on this a little bit earlier with the high school coaches, but we got a lot of coaches like Rule that they're developmental coaches,
Mhm.
right? They're developmental coaches where they take in a player and they develop them over their time in the program, and we no longer um, the system no longer supports that,
Right.
right? And so Rule has to win. He has to win now, and he has the ability, he has the money, and the program, the backing of the program, all of everything combined, right? NIL, locker
Mhm.
rooms,
Yep.
support, all of that. He has everything um, to go do what he needs to do, and that's to go grab players, just like what Colorado's doing and some of these other schools, and you got to do it, and you got to win now.
And it's okay too, because the landscape has changed so much. Like we get all revved up, like, oh my God, we got guys leaving. If you get guys that come in that you could, now the development thing is touchy, because your time frame on the development moves up a lot, because the
A
kid is
lot.
going to have other options. But like Larry
So
here,
so you looked at you mentioned Sledge, right?
yeah,
So whenever you're looking at high school athletes and you want to bring them in the program and say, increase your count for the lineman number, for the linebacker room, for the defensive back room, you're looking at players that can get on the field now, or if they can't get on the field now, they're going to be able to provide you some plays during the game that you're not going to see a big drop off, but then they
yeah,
can play year number two. They're going to have to play quick, right?
and
You're no
crazy
longer.
competitive.
I don't think you're no longer going to go and take a look at an Aaron Taylor that you're going to have to develop. Now I developed quicker, but man, is a coach Rule going to want to take that chance right away?
Oh yeah, I think we have one of the few guys that will. But I think he sees things in a longer term manner. Like, I think he knows he's got some young linemen coming up that are good and they're mean, and they get
Yeah,
after. But
yeah.
I think he has that. That's the other thing though. T coaches anymore don't have the eye. They don't have the eye to look like, there's a kid at Bennington. Okay, he's a tight end. He's a tight end currently in Bennington. He is athletic. In college, if he wants to play in college, he is a center or a guard, because he needs to travel down. He's thick, he's strong. But you put him at guard, and if you can see that vision, say, hey, you got no looks at tight end. Nobody wants you at tight end. I'm gonna put you at guard. You're gonna play here in 2-3 years if you work and if you go through this. He's competitive. He's great sized, but that trickle down, or that eye. I was talking to a college coach about the other day. Nobody has it anymore. They don't see it. They have to get instant gratification. I think Rule sees the long term of some of the kids that he brings in.
Yeah, and I think he's that way. I really do. I think Rule's that way. I think he always has been. But does he have the time?
I know that's the
So here's something I up at work I talk about with some coworkers. I said, how long before um, one of these big universities, let's say us, right, before we say, hey, Ryan Held out of Kearney,
Mhm.
um, you're our AAA team. I want you to take this kid. Here's 5 million for your athletic budget, so you can, teach
Yeah,
kids, go
yeah,
hire coaches. Here's our playbook. Here's our right. You're now our minor league team.
yeah.
And by the way, we're going to double your athletic budget and give you
Yeah.
$5 million. Right? We're
Because
going to funnel it in there. What's that?
you're part of the University of Nebraska network. So
Yeah, yeah.
over.
And so we're going to double your budget. And hey, I want you to go. We're going to send this kid from Bennington over to you. You're gonna run them through. And oh, by the way, we do have a offensive line coach out there by the name of Chris Dishman.
Yeah,
Um,
yep.
that's
He
going
ain't
to
doing
help
nothing.
develop them.
He ain't doing
And
nothing. Just bring him over.
yeah, right. He ain't doing a thing. And so we're going to we're going to send him to UNK for a year. If he can transfer here after a year or two, then bring him in and you use the smaller colleges as a funnel system into the bigger colleges.
Okay, so back to what it once was. What's old becomes new again. Bob
Yeah.
Devaney, the Bob father, just would send people to Hutch. Like, hey,
Yep.
you're going to Hutch.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. We're
So
gonna come back. We're gonna come back and get you in a couple years. They run our
yeah,
offense.
yeah,
They run our scheme. You go down there, get eligible. You'll be up here in 2 years.
yeah.
Max
So I wonder if it's going to become something like that. Um, I also sent you that link too of just the way college football is. With that Milwaukee's Buck
Who's
owner.
gonna buy a college football program?
We're going to buy a college football. It's obviously in discussions, right? If you got billionaires talking about going and buying half of Nebraska at $750 million, right? Because they see they can get a return of investment and you can infuse 750 million into it. Um, it's crazy talk to me. It's crazy. Alls I want is I want good college football. I
Yep.
want players to develop relationships like we have, and they're there for 30 years. I just hope it stays. It's not going to be pure, right? But I wish it would, Verse.
I know you do, my man, and
Yeah,
it's a changing landscape, and when I do think the name, image, and likeness thing it should happen, but the lack of regulation or patrolling of it was right when it started. They just kind of rolled it out and said, "Go figure it out." When in retrospect, it should be like, "Here's the parameters right now. They're going to be up for discussion in 2 years on things we can get better at, things we need to change." Because legit, I mean, firing money at kids is scary because you look at the success rate in the NFL, right? I mean, it's crazy numbers. Like 80% of NFL players are broke within like 2-3 years of them being out of the league.
right.
You think that's going to be different with a college kid? Like they're going to get
The
all this
opportunity is
money.
probably going to go up.
All that money is going to be gone if they don't have some kind of management wing to this. That's why I said needs-based assessment. You can give this to your family. You can save this. You can keep this out for taxes. Here's the rest. Because we want you to be retired at 40. Well, to be retired at 40, when you're 18 and 19, you have all this money, you got to start saving. We got to teach you how to save. We got to protect.
Right.
We got to make you financially literate, basically.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it. Because now mom and dad are taken care of because sometimes they're just in need. The kid, to give them the cash and then just be like, go out and spend it, buddy. Enjoy that Maserati. You're buzzing around in Lincoln, Nebraska
Yeah.
when it's 2 degrees outside.
Right.
I know how it works
Right.
when the roads get slick.
So here's I was talking with Callahan and
Which one?
so
Bill?
so what's that?
Which one? Bill?
No, yeah, right. We can learn a few things from him, lineman wise. But so Sean, I was talking with Sean, and so with the NCAA ruling that these colleges can now pay players, and your bucket's 20 million bucks, and Nebraska and several other Big Ten colleges have said out of that 20 million that we can pay all athletes, 15 mil is allotted to the football program. So, and what Rule wants to do, what he said, now whether or not this goes through, because this is another topic of discussion. So you get that $20 million or 15 million. Your roster size is 105, and Rule wants to distribute that 15 million evenly amongst the 105, right? So all 105 are on scholarship, room, board, tuition, right? Everything's paid for. Plus, you get part of your 15 million. So every player is going to get room, board, tuition, all of that, and 143 grand a year just to be a player. So that's your even split out of the 15 million. Now NIL's on top of that.
Correct.
So you got players in there that are going to come in and roll in at 150,000 a year. They're going to be making more than mom and dad are. So some of them, a lot of them. I mean, you take a look at the average means around here, and it's I think I asked Alexa the other day, and I think the average income in Nebraska is 66 grand. Right. I was talking about it with Emma and
What's up?
Tanya, and I'm like, I wonder what the average salary is here in Nebraska. And yeah, 66 grand. And you get some of these players coming in going to make 150. That's crazy.
It's nuts. So if there was
And,
only somebody,
and then you get NIL on top of that. And so I was going
right,
to say the other caveat within that is um, that's what Rule said he wanted to do was take that and divided that evenly amongst every scholarship player, every 105. But are you going to be able to do that? Right.
I don't
And
think
then are you going to have to run it? I'll be curious. Now watch Bill Belichick and the way he's going to run North Carolina.
you.
And now are you going to run it? Are you going to run it evenly, 105? Or are you going to say this amount is allotted to the O-line room, this amount is allotted to the linebacker room. And so now what you're doing is you're running it just like, and now you're going to have to get a general manager, right?
Correct.
And you and you're going to
Which
have to
Stanford
run it
already has.
just like a pro program.
So what if there was somebody, Aaron, that took the NFL rosters of the best 10 teams as viewed by, let's just say, the staff and patrons of Pison's Pizzeria, and they broke that down by how the NFL teams do it by room, by percentage of what they spend on their team? Somebody may have created that spreadsheet already.
I'm sure they have. Yeah, there you go.
But I
Right.
just broke it down. I was like, well, this is how I would handle it. Like if successful NFL teams are doing this, I have this much money, I can plug this in. So now I give of my 15 million, I give this percent to the quarterback room. And when you look at it, here's how the rooms break down. QB room, the most, duh. Next in line, defensive line room gets the second most. Next in line, offensive line room. And those are your top echelon teams. That's how they
Yeah.
break it down. And there's some
Yeah.
of them,
And
you look
so,
at it, they're paying their linebackers like next to nothing. Some of the good ones.
but yeah. So the difference though, the difference between NFL and this model
Mhm.
is yeah, we have that 15 million,
Yep.
but um but what you don't know is the NIL
Right.
on top of that, right?
Correct. And that's
And
just
so
the
it's like,
Wild West.
okay, NIL, it's like 1890. I need X percent allotted to that room, X percent allotted to this, X percent
Yeah.
allotted to that. I don't know. It's going to be real interesting
So
because
then
really NIL's been individual based
yeah.
per se and not group based.
So then does your discussion become this? Okay, hey, I'm just going to use Dylan as an example. Hey, Dylan, we got this much money, this 15 million, we got to distribute to the team. We feel in the quarterback room, we'll pay you this 143 or whatever that number is, but your potential to earn more outside of NIL, we can build a stronger team if you don't take your part of the 15 million. Is that a discussion you have?
Yeah, absolutely.
Those positions that have a higher earning capacity.
So yeah. So whenever you take when you take a team like Ohio State or Nebraska or Michigan, where your NIL dollars are high, that player can easily say, yeah, because I can make it through my NIL.
Right.
Right.
So
And
get it
let's
to the
go
team,
back.
coach. I'm good.
But is an Iowa State going to be able to do that? Right.
Right.
Is a North Carolina State, right? So man, it's interesting how all of these teams, right? Every single team is going to have to manage this so different.
Pandora's box every day. Bill Belichick in North Carolina scares the shit out of me. I'm not gonna lie. Like anybody that has ever played for him or played against him is like, wait a minute, let me get this straight. I can send my kid to North Carolina to work with Bill Belichick, groom him for the NFL, probably get him there and extend his career if he's good. And I'm not gonna have to worry about him losing all of his money, acting like a jackass. Like, sign me up. Like, I'm going to NC.
Yep.
Like he scares me in college football. He really does. Then you put Michael Lombardi on there, who's an old NFL GM who knows the ins and outs of everything, and we'll have that literal discussion. I said, like, hey, quarterback, we can give you part of our 15 million that we have. Well, it's probably 10 in North Carolina, but 10 that's allocated for football. But you know what? Our NIL outfit, they really think they can get you a lot more. Do you care if we keep your money and give it to some other positions so we can get them stronger? They're going to sell the shit out of those kids.
Yeah.
They're going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be so interesting. It's going to be NFL light.
Yep.
Right. And they're actually going to have to be more creative. They're going to have to be more creative than they are in the NFL, right? Because the NFL is, you have this salary cap,
Yep.
work within it. Well, now it's, you have this NIL, and let's work within those two parameters there. So I don't know. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. I'm with you. Yeah,
hey,
North Carolina.
Oh, you're scared? Yeah, scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna. I mean, think about all the guys that played for him that have kids.
But here's the whole thing, Burrs. I mean, we sit here and we talk about it. It's, yeah, you're going to come here for a couple of years, right? We'll get you some online classes. We'll, keep you eligible, and the whole thing is we'll let you make some money and develop, and we're going to give you that opportunity in the NFL.
Oh no,
right?
he said my guys will graduate.
Right. I get that. I mean, you got to say that, but right, that was a huge thing for us, right? It's like now you're sending your kids to school, and that's not your first priority anymore, right? Graduation rates, right? That was a big deal. We had that up, and it was a source of pride for Nebraska, right?
Yep.
25 academic All-Americans, right? Graduation rate was so high, those kind of things. And I think we kind of get away from, well, we do get away from it, right? We don't talk about graduating and what your name says on your diploma anymore.
No, but everybody thinks they're going to the league, and they don't realize that's the 1% of the one. Those are the aliens. Like the aliens don't.
And you're not. And you're not. You're not. You're gonna be working just like you and me. Right?
You'll be selling insurance or pharmaceuticals. Pick which one you want to sell, big dog.
That's right. Yep.
Hey, is that big banner?
I don't know, man. What's that?
That big banner in the back, is that new?
The what?
The big one. Turn over your right shoulder. Is that new? That big banner there with you.
No, I had that whenever so the Big Ten, whenever a player's inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame, the Big Ten brings you in for Big Ten Media Days.
Oh, nice.
And so I can't remember who all we had there my year, but it was me and somebody else. And so they'll put a big banner up, and for your media days kind of stuff. So yeah, so they don't want it, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'll take it. Why not?
Took the spider out and just cut it down and took it.
Yeah, you know what? They do a pretty good job. Hang it on PVC and yeah, kind of cool.
It was good.
Cool
Sharp one.
So, like I said, I had all this stuff stored. I had it all in totes for years and years and years. Finally built a shop, and I'm like, you know what? I'll at least hang it up.
I think it looks great. I'm still waiting for an invite to come out and see it.
You're welcome. Anytime. You quit working, right?
True. Good point.
Hey, you're a business owner, man. You're working like 100 hours a week.
Oh, buddy, it's actually kind of nice right now. I'm thick. I got staff. Had a couple nights off. Crazy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can find your girlfriend now.
Coming.
What's that?
The apocalypse is coming. I've had 2 days off this week. Oh, buddy. Well, thank you for your time. It's always good to catch up, and I hope Kareem Abdul-Taylor loves basketball and keeps playing and runs those drills and has a blast.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, there's lots to talk about on this football stuff. It's
there is.
It's just crazy. It's crazy all the way around, and I don't know. I'm like you, man. I'll still root on my Cornhuskers and love them to death.
We're on an uptick. We set this is the progress. So he wins a couple the first year, wins 7 the next, and we'll see what happens.
Feels good to win, doesn't it? Feels good to win.
It does.
Feels good to win.
Hey, how nervous were you when they blocked that punt?
Tanya got up to go get a drink in the kitchen, and she's like, "Oh no, Oh no. And I'm like,
But it
of
started
course,
pacing around.
we find ourselves getting superstitious, right? We were
Yeah.
playing well. She gets up to go get go fill her cup up, and I'm like, get back in here before something else bad happens, right? Like, go sit back in the same chair, right? Cover up with the same blanket.
Don't move.
Don't move. Yeah. So
Everybody freeze.
yeah. Hey man, I'm still gonna drink the damn Kool-Aid. I will. I
Okay.
will this off season. I'll probably text you or
Yeah.
talk to you about it several different times. I'll drink it.
We'll get each
Hey,
other.
we're going.
John didn't know
Hey,
that we drank beer in college.
we're going into the college football. Hey, you seen the schedule?
Yeah.
You seen the schedule? It sets up good. Sets up good for me to think we're going to win out already. Why not? Right?
If you can't believe that, you can't believe anything.
Hey man, I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
We're go big red, baby.
absolutely, buddy. Thank you for your time, bud. Have a good Sunday.
All right, you bet, man. Take care.
See you. Oh, always good to catch up with T. He's my guy. That's if you want the loyalty side and what's great about college football and how I'm one of the luckier people in the world. Shouldn't have the friendships or the connections I have, but I do, and I'm very thankful for them every day. Love those guys to death, and happy to see T succeeding and doing great in life. And he sent me a picture of him at a basketball game. Just said, "What the fuck am I doing?" he's like, "I'm at a basketball gym watching junior high girls basketball." I said, "You love every minute of it, buddy. You do." But that'll wrap up the show. That'll wrap up the year. I'll try to get. I threaten this every year, and I apologize to you. But like I said, I got some extra staff now, so I will try to get my shit together, and kind of focus on this YouTube page, and we'll get some things going. I'll send out social media, but try to start putting out a show. Just kind of trying to. Because for me, it's a ton of fun to just reconnect with some of my old buddies and see what they got going on. I think you guys get a kick out of us being jackasses. So it's a double win for me. I get to see my buddies and entertain you guys. But thank you so much for getting me through this year. I appreciate everything. You guys are a great sounding board, and hopefully I provided some education or something for you. But I appreciate you guys. Love that you participate in the show, and I look forward to it every Sunday, win or lose. And hopefully we get to the point where we're winning a lot more. But that will wrap up Husker Hangover for this year. For our above 500, 7-6 Nebraska Cornhuskers, I do have menu items that will come out. It's called the Playbook. It has been on the shelf for 5 years since we moved over into the new bay. So I have to get the website updated. I always said I would put it out when Nebraska finished above 500. I have to get that repriced because that's how long it has been. I cannot charge the prices for those pizzas that are on there, but Foreman, Benning, Ellis, Makovica, Crouch, other guys will have their pizzas that they have designed on a supplemental menu. So give me, let's say by February, I will have that ready to rock and roll. So if you stop in, ask for the Playbook, and we will see what comes out of that. And you can have hopefully your favorite player slice. But thank you guys as always. Appreciate it. Love y'all, and have a great Sunday. And we will talk to you soon.